Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture for June 22nd of 2025 is titled A Berry Bowl of Martian Spherules. So what do we see here? Well, here we see some tiny spheres of metal on Mars. So this is an image taken by the Opportunity Rover, and this is taken back in 2004. And this is when they were first discovered, so a little over 20 years ago now, that we found these unusual parts of Mars. Now, they are actually metallic iron materials, and how did they form? Well, some of the analysis that has been done to study the various blueberries, as they are called, for their approximate shape, and very small size, about 4 millimeters across on average, when studying the rock around it, finds that it's a very different composition. So they're not related to the rocks surrounding them, but instead likely formed within water. And in fact, they are very rich in hematite, which is an iron oxide. Now, we know that iron oxides make up some of the soil on the planet Mars, and that's kind of what gives us its reddish-brown, ruddy color that we see. But these concentrations form, at least here on Earth, would form in water. So the idea is here that this means that this area was once part of standing water, that there was water on Mars. Now, various things that we found from the various rovers that have been there have shown us that water did exist on Mars in the distant past, and that Mars might have had oceans of water at some point. Oceans of water, not in the same sense we have with the very deep oceans, but much more shallow oceans, but may have been covering a large portion of the northern hemisphere of Mars. So in some of those, and then additional lakes and rivers, materials like this would be able to condense out of that water, forming the little spherules that we see here today. So it's just one more piece of evidence for Mars having had liquid water in the past, and we are now saying with very good confidence that yes, Mars did once have liquid water flowing on its surface. That may have been billions of years ago, but we can say with great confidence that it did have water on its surface. Where is that water now? Well, some of it is still there below the surface, frozen into a permafrost. Some of it is in the polar caps, and some of it is simply gone. It's been broken apart, and the hydrogen and oxygen separate. The oxygen is now tied up into the soil. That's where we get some of those iron oxides. And the hydrogen, being too lighter, would then escape out into space. So water is still there on Mars, and yes, we could find some deposits of ice down below the surface, which make it rather different than our moon, which for the most part is relatively dry. There are some areas on the moon that might have frozen ice in them, but they're very rare and much lower quantities than we could expect to find on Mars. So that was our picture of the day for June 22nd of 2025. It was titled A Berry Bowl of Martian Spherules. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be Heart Stars. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.